It's time once again for Mark Webb, Knowledge Investigator.
Mr. Webb, my U.S. history class is studying Andrew Carnegie. I hate him. He treated his workers badly. He didn't pay them much. He didn't give any money to his kids. Why was he so mean to everyone?
Ah, the Gilded Age. One of my favorite times in history. I'll get right on it.
Journey through all of human knowledge and see how it's all related as you follow the adventures of the man with the action-packed brain case, America's fabulous freelance knowledge investigator.
Yours sociologically, Mark Webb. During the Gilded Age, entrepreneurs created huge companies. I went to visit one of my favorite large companies to see if it offered any clues. There sure are lots of interesting animal specimens here. Look at the variations they possess. I wonder if that's significant. We'll have to wait and see. After the Civil War, many Americans turned their creative energies toward invention and away from killing. Out of this period sprang many of the innovations that make our modern life better. You name it, it came from this time period in one form or another. So let's say you spent many years and many thousands of dollars inventing the light bulb. What have you got? One light bulb. How are you going to make back all the research and development money you've put out there? And get uncomprehendibly wealthy. Wealthy enough to build this for your summer cottage. You mass produce the product so you can make the price low, supply the demands of the consumers, and sell lots of light bulbs. What are some of the ways to keep your costs down so your product is not too expensive for people to buy? Hire children who cannot demand much salary. Hire women who earn much less than men. Have them work in dangerous conditions with no safety features and no regard to their health. If they get hurt too badly to work, fire them. Then, if you're Andrew Carnegie and your workers go on strike for better wages and conditions, have one of your managers try to wipe them out with armed detectives. When the strikers beat the detectives, fire them all and hire low-priced replacements. But wait, it gets better. Instead of leaving his fortune to his children, Carnegie funded public facilities such as libraries in many communities, and endowed charitable organizations whose work would continue long after his death. But critics say he did these things out of a combination of guilt and the feeling that most people were not capable of acquiring anything for themselves. So what gave Carnegie and others the idea that they could treat people this way? This was going to require a lot more thought. Maybe getting a pet for the agency would help. It could be a turtle, a lizard, maybe a small bird. Now wait, there's something really familiar about this combination. What was it? Of course, the answers to both my questions came from Charles Darwin. Darwin's major contribution to science came when he figured out a natural process by which organisms can change over time. The observation of tortoises, finches, and marine iguanas in the Galapagos Islands triggered Darwin's breakthrough. Darwin described the process of natural selection, which most people call survival of the fittest. Here's how it works. Every so often, when an organism reproduces, it makes a mistake and doesn't copy its own DNA exactly. This results in the offsprings possessing a different characteristic, a mutation. Most mutations are detrimental to an organism's survival. For example, an animal might be born with a vital organ that does not function correctly. The animal will probably not survive to have its own offspring. But once in a great while, a mutation produces a change that helps an organism to survive. Perhaps an animal living in a snowy climate is born with white fur and becomes less visible to predators. This animal is likely to live longer and have more children than others with brown fur. Eventually, there will be more with white fur. Nature has selected the white animal for survival, hence natural selection. Darwin published his ideas in 1859. By the Gilded Age in America, they were becoming more accepted, and some people used them as a scientific excuse to be cruel to others. Let me explain. Remember how our snowy environment favored the animal that had been born with white fur? Well, what if you said in the late 1800s that the environment was a capitalist economy? Under the theory of natural selection, this would favor organisms, people, who were born with the right characteristics to survive. That would mean that rich people were rich because they had been born with the right characteristics to survive in this environment. This also meant that poor people were poor because they did not have the right characteristics. This was social Darwinism. It allowed Andrew Carnegie to sleep at night despite working his employees 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and allowing them no hope for anything better. In the eyes of a social Darwinist, nature was being cruel, not Carnegie. It's obvious to us today that Darwin did not intend to justify capitalism or any other human activity where people make decisions and have some measure of control over the situation. But the application of Darwin's ideas to a place where they didn't belong allowed rich, comfortable industrialists to maintain the status quo. My report to my client? Carnegie was misguided, but fully in step with the times in which he lived.
All right, I understand Carnegie, but that still doesn't make him any nicer. I hope I never have to work for someone like him.
Good luck with that. End of investigation. End of report. Remarks? Often, people in today's world want to harness the attention and energy that new developments in science and technology create. But, as we saw with social Darwinism, if the theory is misused or not fully understood, it can be harmful or even destructive. Fortunately, there usually exists a part of society, like the Gilded Age labor union, that realizes the problem and tries to bring everything back into balance. In this age of accelerating change, we need rational people to investigate and evaluate change, not just accept it unquestioningly. Yours sociologically, Mark Webb.